Okay, if you are watching this video, I'm sure it's because you're one of two people. Either you are embarking on your muscle building journey for the very first time and you're nervous to eat more because you don't want to gain a lot of body fat, or you are somebody that has tried to gain muscle in the past and you ended up gaining a lot of body fat over the course of that time, more than you may have wanted to. So, I am going to talk to you guys all about how I am staying lean during my building phase. Just a little bit of background on me. I am a dietitian. I'm also a bikini bodybuilder. And my very first show was in October of 2025, so about 4 months ago. And since then, I've only gained 10 pounds and I'm eating 2,700 calories. 400 grams of which are carbohydrates. I'm eating 135 grams of protein and 65 grams of fat. So I want to share my tips and tricks for staying lean while gaining muscle. So my first tip for staying lean while gaining muscle is to keep your intensity up when you're in the gym, when you're in a building phase. You're given those extra calories for a reason, and it's to fuel your workouts. So whether you're on prep or whether you're in a building phase, you need to be pushing in the gym. You need to be practicing progressive overload. Of course, there are going to be days that are better than others, but you want to give whatever your 100% is for that day on that day. And talking about being in the gym and just activity in general, I always try to keep cardio into my routine. Right now, I'm at 20 minutes, 4 days a week. But typically, general recommendations are anywhere from like 30 minutes, 5 days a week. So, like 150 minutes overall. I also try to keep my steps at anywhere from 7 to 8,000 right now. So, just because we are in a building phase and we're trying to grow, we're still going to add that cardio into our routine to help strengthen our heart, which can help us in turn to keep that intensity up when we're lifting. My second tip to staying lean while in a building phase is to weigh everything that you're eating and track everything that you're eating. Right now, I do have one intuitive eating day built into my schedule just to give my mind a little bit of a vacation. But otherwise, I am tracking every single thing I am putting into my mouth. So, and this doesn't mean that I'm using things like tablespoons, measuring cups, or anything like that. I am actually weighing things out gram for gram on a scale. And when I'm tracking, I use an app called Chronometer, which I just think is elite versus some of the other apps that are out there. Chronometer also tracks your micronutrients as well, which I think is really important. And when I'm tracking, I try to use accurate measurements. Mainly, I track things raw versus cooked. And I also use the USDA food data to weigh and measure my food, which is a little bit more accurate than just things that are programmed into Chronometer from who knows. So that is my second tip, just to weigh and track things even in your off season. And then my third tip is to continue to eat the things that you were eating in prep. Just eat a lot more of that. And what I mean by that is that I mainly ate whole food when I was in prep. And that's what I eat in my building phase as well. So I try to stick to whole foods as much as possible. I'm just eating more of them. And I also try to structure the majority of my carbs, which again, I'm eating around 400 grams of carbs a day. And I try to structure that around my workouts. Usually that looks like 60 to 80 grams of carbs before my workout and 60 to 80 grams of carbs after, so that I know that that food is being utilized for fueling my workout and replenishing my glycogen stores, which is going to in turn enhance my muscle quality overall. So those are just some of my tips and tricks for staying lean while in a building phase. And the thing that drives me crazy about some people is that they'll give you these tips and tricks and then they won't show you how to execute them. So today, the rest of this video will be a what I eat in a day video for building muscle. And I'll show you guys what I'm actually putting on my plate to fuel myself and build my muscle in my off season. So grab your cozy little beverage, whatever you want. I got my iced coffee here, and sit back and relax and Let's eat, guys. Good morning. So it is, oh my gosh, I don't have my watch anymore, but it is probably a little bit after 9, and we are sitting down with our brownie batter yogurt bowl. Oh my God, you guys, I've been eating this forever, like 6 months, probably like before prep, I would say. So maybe like April or May of last year. And it is just so yummy. Like it tastes like you're eating a dessert for breakfast. So this is about 550 calories, 33-ish grams of protein, maybe like 70 carb and 20 something fat. And I talk about this a lot in my other vlogs, so if you've already listened to this, I'm so sorry, but it is just 220 grams of Faje yogurt. Then I put about 15-ish grams of cashew butter in there. You can use really any kind of nut butter you want. I've also used the PB2 powder in the past, like when I was on prep. And then cocoa powder, so like 15 grams of cocoa powder. Dark chocolate, I usually put about 10 or 15 grams of like really dark chocolate, like 70% or above. Today I actually have 95% in here. And then what else? Oat flour, so 20 grams of oat flour. And it kind of seems weird. Like every time I tell people I put oat flour in here, they're like, that's kind of bizarre, but it helps to make it really like thick and cheesecake-like and get that like brownie batter texture. And then just some stevia, so 2 packets of stevia just to sweeten it up a little bit. You could use like a maple syrup, a honey, table sugar if you wanted to, whatever really. But I personally like stevia. I think it's one of the non-nutritive sweeteners that doesn't taste like really artificially. And there's been like decent studies on it that show that there's not a lot of like harmful effects from it. But we also don't know, like that's the thing with non-nutritive sweeteners, is that they're so new that we don't know what the long-term health effects are really. So then I just finish it off with some chocolate Quaker rice cakes. And that just is a vessel to scoop, and it's just so yummy. It just tastes like brownie batter, cookie, yummy, chocolatey, yum. And that's my breakfast. Usually I'll eat this either at night or like after the gym. Today's a rest day, so we're just eating it as is, and that's it. Okay, so it is 1 p.m., so welcome to our lunchtime. I'm going to show you what I got set up for lunch. I already kind of prepped everything, so I'll take you with me and show you what I'm going to have to eat. All right, so I really don't know what I'm calling this. I just kind of have this like vision in my head, but I am going to take this rice that I had left over, and I just heated it up in the oven for a little bit, just some brown rice. I got some beets here that I cut up, some little cucumbers, which look how cute these are. That would be like perfect if you actually like go into work. I cut those up. Half of an avocado, cut that up. Purple cabbage, some chicken that I had left over, and then I air fried some Japanese sweet potato, which I'm kind of curious how that turned out because I put in the same amount of time into the air fryer that I do the regular sweet potato, and it just doesn't look as good, but I just like kept air frying it and kept air frying it, and it like didn't look any better, so I'm just gonna try it. And then some feta cheese crumbles. I got the fat free just to keep like the fat calories a little bit lower. And then some pickled red onion, which I'm going to throw in there. So this is going to be my lunch. I'll show you what it all looks like when I put it together, and I'll let you know like the calories, the macros, everything like that. Okay, so I just assembled everything for lunch. So this is what it looks like. Kind of gorgeous. I hope you guys can see that. I ended up not using as much of the chicken because if you're somebody that eats meat and dairy, like it is not that difficult to get your protein in. If you don't, then it is a little bit more difficult, but I split it up half, so I'm going to use half the chicken for my lunch tomorrow, and I just put half in here because that would have got me for the whole lunch, would have been like over 40 grams of protein, and I try to keep it to like 25-30 grams of protein, so this lunch now has 28 grams of protein, has like 95-97 carb, and then 11 fat, so total it's almost 600 calories. And this is, in general, this is about what I would eat for a lunch most days of the week. I just came up with this concoction for today. I've never had it before. But the other thing I try to do is get as much variety of my vegetables as possible, because I talk about fiber diversity a lot on this channel. So if you guys follow along, you know that I'm a big proponent of fiber diversity, but I try to get as much variety in my diet of fiber as possible, because the different kinds of fiber feeds different gut bacteria, and that in turn keeps us healthier. So that is my lunch. I'm going to sit down and eat this now, and I'll let you know how it was after the fact. Okay, just a moment for the iced coffee and the iced coffee swirl. And now we are going to sip and continue on with our day. All right, so it is 3:30 now, and we are sitting down to have a snack. Some of you guys might think I'm crazy, because even though it's a rest day, I am going to miss my pre-workout snack. So I always have, or I usually have, my pre-workout snack even on my rest days. And it's pretty high in carbohydrates, and like easily digestible carbohydrates. So I try to get some kind of movement in after I eat it, even if it's on a rest day. So I'll show you what I have, and those of you who follow me already know what I'm going to say. So I have 4 chocolate rice cakes, and then about 70 grams of 0% Fage yogurt, banana, maple syrup, and then some sea salt sprinkled on top. And it's just so good. Like, it's like sweet, salty perfection. So I'm gonna eat this, and then I'm gonna go upstairs and walk on my walking pad just to help soak up that glucose a little bit better. Like, I don't want to just go and sit on the couch and have that glucose just like not being utilized. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to eat this and then head upstairs. Okay, so we just time traveled to 5:30 p.m. It is dinner time. And what I have here is basically just like the kitchen sink of my refrigerator. I usually don't have like a plan unless I'm traveling. So I usually just use whatever's in my refrigerator, which is typically lean meats, veggies, potatoes, etc. So I have 96.4 ground lean beef sauteed with an entire pack of shiitake mushrooms. I'm obsessed with shiitake mushrooms right now, plus sauteed green peppers and air fried sweet potatoes, and 100 grams of kimchi for some good fermentable foods. It's about 400 calories, 25 grams of protein. I don't remember the fat or the carbs, so I'll put all the macros and calories right here so you can see that. Something I wanted to touch on that I did not talk about in my intro video is that to put on muscle, you do not need a huge calorie surplus. And I went wrong with this too a couple years ago when I wasn't tracking and I wasn't super into bodybuilding and I just wanted to build muscle in general. I went wrong with this too. Like, I was eating probably 500 to like 800 calories, and you really only need a small surplus. So 200 to 300 calories is what I would start off with above your maintenance calories. And your maintenance calories are just what they sound like. So the calories that is sustaining your current body weight. So in order to build new tissue, we need to put energy into our body, and we obviously need some kind of stimulus at the gym. We can't just like formulate tissue from nothing. So that's why we do need to eat in that surplus, but usually only 200 to 300 calories is what can get you there. And you also want to be taking your weight daily and looking at your averages for the week. And then typically what will happen is that you'll reach a new maintenance. So when you're eating in that surplus and you're staying steady with that weight, then it's time to increase your calories even a little bit more. You don't have to go crazy like 100 calories, and keep going up until you notice that your weight is going up in that small increment, but nothing crazy. We're not going like 800 calories over what we need. That is what's going to put on the body fat and not necessarily help us stay lean while building muscle. So I'm going to dig into my dinner now, and then I'll see you later for our bedtime snack. All right, so it is now 7 p.m. and we are sitting down with our bedtime snack. I've been trying to minimize how much yogurt I've been eating, because if you guys know me, you know that I love the Fage 0% yogurt. It's just so good. But tonight I just couldn't tear myself away from it. So I did make myself another yogurt bowl. I did need a good amount of protein, so that's where the yogurt comes in. But it's just 220 grams of the Faje 0%. I put 3 grams of the sugar-free Jell-O cheesecake mix in there. It just sweetens it up a little bit and makes it really thick and cheesecakey, which is delicious. I got about a tablespoon, a little bit over a tablespoon of peanut butter, 24 grams to be exact, and then 11 grams of walnuts, and I put in some Cosmic Crisp apples so I can dip the yogurt bowl in it like so. So good. And I did need a little bit more carbs, so that's where the apple and then also the cereal that I'm going to show you in a second came in. But I will put all of the calories and macros up here so you guys can see what that worked out to be. And then I did need some more carbs. Usually on my rest days, I always have to push it for the carbs because I'm not eating too much like around my training. So I did put about 1/4 cup of shredded wheat in here. And shredded wheat is probably my favorite cereal because there's no added sugar in there. Also, the thing with cereal is that it is like a hidden multivitamin because it's fortified. Most of them are fortified if you get something like a shredded wheat. So they put things like vitamins and minerals back into the cereal. So this helps me to hit my iron goals. And then sometimes like my folate goals, I fell a little bit short of my folate goals today. I'll show you guys my micronutrients too, because I almost hit all of my major micronutrients tonight except for folate. Folate is really difficult to meet unless you're consuming like a ton of leafy green salads. Or the way that I meet my folate is I use like 3 grams of nutritional yeast, and that boom, like knocks it out of the park. So a little bit of folate in the fortified cereal, as well as some iron, and then some iron in these 2 little apricots that I threw in there just for some added carbs. I went a little bit over my protein today. I went like 6 grams over my protein, and then I was pretty close to my carbs and my fat. So before I end this video, I just want to say thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, all the things. Comment if you have any questions below or just want to say that you liked the video. As always, if you want to work with me, you can email me at amy@mynutritioncollaborative.com or comment below as well. I'm so excited to start working with some of you guys. And before I close this video out, I just want to take some time to speak directly to you if you are especially a female. I know how hard it can be to want to eat more, to get those calories in, to see the scale go up. It is somewhat scary, but that is the only way you're going to put on the muscle that you want to get to the physique that you want in the end. Let's all just like bask in this moment of wanting to eat more, wanting to put on muscle, and wanting to be our best selves. And again, thank you guys for coming along on this journey with me, and I'll see you in the next one.